So my dad was an entrepreneur from the word get-go. We have a grocery store. We buy fresh produce every day. We do ground beef every day. We do steaks every day. We do everything. I can just do this myself. I can open my own store because he didn't know if this was going to be a winner or not. So anyway, he came up with a number of recipes, and he said, I'm going to open a pizza place. And he opened Leitz's Pizzas in 1965. And probably from 1965 to my dad, everything was about quality. And if we can't sell quality, we don't want to sell it.
Mm-hmm. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Lake City Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nilsson. And if you've grown up in Salt Lake City, Utah, there's a likelihood that you have had dinner at a very specific place after either a soccer game, basketball game, family home evening, whatever it might be, at a very specific burger place on 7th East and 4th South. And if you haven't guessed yet, it is a place that we know to be as Hire's Big H. And so today we have Jon Hale, who's the son of Don Hale, who founded Hire's. And we talk about how Hire's was founded by his dad and the decision process around that, what John's up to today, and then what is in store for the family as they move forward. So lots of really good stories, lots of great wisdom imparted. And if there's one word to take away from it all, it is quality. Don and John and now Allie are focused on quality and making sure that they are giving the best products possible. And we'll talk more about what they're specifically doing to do it and some examples, but definitely a great episode, great person to learn a lot from. And I hope that you all enjoy.
Although I am addicted to Hire's hamburgers.
I mean, I'd be kind of worried if you weren't.
No, I've cut back on my meat consumption because just for health reasons, it's been beneficial. But, if I'm going to eat meat, it's going to be a Hire's hamburger or a meatloaf made with Hire's ground beef.
So it's always the proof. Oh, it's not the pudding. The proof is in the pudding.
Right.
That even if, all right, we're going to make a meatloaf, we're using our beef.
Yeah, because nothing else tastes good to me.
Interesting.
I just would not order a hamburger out anymore just because it just doesn't have the same flavor to me, or the flavor I'm expecting in a hamburger. And not all hamburgers the same. I hate to say it.
Oh, absolutely. There was a article that someone sent me because I'm a fan of a good burger, just like anybody else. And there's this article that someone came out with where they tested the ground beef from, every popular burger chain.
Right.
And essentially every single person failed except for, I think it was Shake Shack, where they're like, oh, like it's like good beef. And so to your point, if your palate of ground beef and burgers is probably the most refined of most people. So I'm sure, you could do a taste test and be like, well, nope, that's not the one. Yeah. That's the one. Here we are. And get it all dialed into what it should be.
Yeah. You get to an age that I'm at and you just want to eat things you enjoy and not things it's just not food. Because I ate just a lot of food growing up just to stay alive. So,
and that's my biggest problem because I turn 34 this month, okay. And I feel because you go through your 20s and nothing matters. Anything comes in, right? You still stay lean, whatever, as long as you don't have like a health concern. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, it's like my upper 20s. Every year, it's like, oh well, here's something else I have to get rid of, or here's something else I can't eat anymore, right? Just to kind of maintain that way. Cause I'm a pretty active individual. I like to prioritize good health because I want to live for a while, but I want my quality of life to last.
Right.
So, and those decisions are made now, not when you get there.
Right.
So it's,
I want that quality of life. When I pass away, but I don't want to be drooling.
Yes.
Because I didn't take care of myself. So I started drinking green smoothies probably 10 years ago. I've been pretty religious about them. Good. And I've just noticed a lot of health benefits from it. Yeah. So it's just, you just do what you think's right. And when it works, you stick with it.
Totally. So, because it's funny, like it reminds me of my grandma because she passed away in 2021, November, okay. But she was the ultimate example of, she just gets to the age that she just wants to eat what she wants. I'll never forget, we went to the Outer Banks for a family trip. It was me, my siblings, my step siblings, all of the kids. And then there's probably like probably around 10 of them. And we're in this like beach house on the Outer Banks. And so I don't know if you're familiar with the Outer Banks, but there's these donuts called duck donuts that are phenomenal.
Yeah, not familiar.
Really good. If you ever go out there, recommend. And so we get there and it's like someone showed up with them, like, oh, cool, donuts, like, great. Everybody likes a donut.
Right.
And then that night, my grandma comes back and she has a pint of ice cream and a dozen donuts. I'm like, oh, Grandma, thanks. Like, I think we still have some donuts, but like, thanks for grabbing some more. And we kind of just nibble at it. And then the next day, she comes back from the store with another pint of ice cream and a dozen donuts. We're like, oh, like, thank you. Like, thanks for thinking of us. Like, that's so nice.
Yeah.
And then the next day, like, so every single day she came back with a dozen donuts and ice cream. And before she went to bed, you just see her like freezer open and just eating ice cream. Cause we have a joke in our family, is my mom's or that grandma's maiden name is Taylor, from the Uinta Basin in Vernal. And so we have this joke called the Taylor gene, where if you have it, you are helplessly obsessed with ice cream. Like that's your favorite dessert. Like I have it. I mean, I have a pint of Rocky Road ice cream in my ice cream drawer all the time. Even now, I had some good Tillamook Rocky Road ice cream last night before I went to bed. And so you get to that point, like, you know what does it matter anymore? We're just going to do this. And I mean, obviously you have a lot more years ahead of you than she did, but there's definitely a point where you're like, what are we doing all this for if I can't enjoy the things I want to enjoy?
Well, if I'm in the mood for ice cream, so my go-to is a chocolate caramel malt. We grew up on Snellgrove's ice cream or Snellgrove's malts.
Yes.
And they were on 21st South and 9th or 11th. Had to be 9th.
9th, yeah.
Yeah. And, we would probably do a run, twice, 3 times a week where older sister, my parents would take us down. We'd get malts. We'd bring them back to the house. We'd eat them there sometimes. We'd bring them home sometimes. But here's the big thing. We would take a ride down 7th East. They'd stop. They would get us an ice cream cone, when we didn't have enough time. We'd drive down 7th East to Hires Drive-In. And then we would park out front on 7th East, totally illegal back in those days. Yeah. And my dad would go in and work for an hour. And we were to count how many cars went into D's drive-in, which D. Anderson had set up a stand across the street from my dad. So he was awfully nervous about that. I mean, we were there in 59. He didn't get there until about 65 or later. I'm not sure where it was. But so we would kind of count cars. And then he would come out an hour later and say, take the kids home, put them to bed, and then come back and get me.
Interesting.
So, but it was kind of a way that, we didn't mind it too bad because we got an ice cream on the way down. And it was good. And we sat and ate our ice cream and counted the cars. And then it was time to go home.
Everybody wins.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Well, Jon, I'm so excited to talk to you because if there's one place in my childhood, and I'm sure anybody who grew up in the area of Salt Lake City, it's Hires Big H. I remember the countless amount of baseball games I would have at Lindsay Gardens. Right. I mean, soccer games at Popperton Park, 11th Ave, because I grew up in the avenues. I mean, and the same thing cascades through. I mean, as I played lacrosse in middle school and high school, like that was always where we celebrated so many things. Yeah. I mean, after plays I was in middle school and high school, it was always the place that I remember celebrating everything. Right. It was just always the place to go. And for the longest time, I always thought that's how hot dogs came, was between like hamburger patties sliced down the middle. Yeah. And I mean, root beer floats, root beer freezes. I will always, when I go get a mint Oreo shake, and that is my Hires experience. Yeah. And it's always been so great. So I'm so excited to hear the story from you about your dad. I mean, and you and everything that you're still doing. Because it's such a part of the Salt Lake culture that, I mean, so many people had growing up. So thanks you so much for coming on, and excited to hear from you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about, I kind of want to start from the beginning and kind of hear, your dad's story of how he founded Hires, his, reason and impetus behind it, and all up until, you coming into the picture and besides counting cars and eating milkshake, kind of your involvement at an early age.
Well, so my dad was an entrepreneur from the word get-go. He was 30 when he got married. My mom was 27. So, but he was just an entrepreneur, and his parents owned a place called Hale's Market, which was on 5th East and 5th South. They're turning it into a Mexican restaurant now, but they had that Hale's Market for many, many years. So he would work in the store as a young kid, and his parents ran it, and then he started running it. And He opened a bar called the Viaduct Inn and ran a bar for a number of years. And it was a tough business being in the bar because to make money, you had to keep track of the drinks and who was getting them for free and who wasn't, and all that kind of stuff. And, he owned some car dealerships and some other things, dabbled in cars. But he was fascinated by Bob's Big Boy. He just thought, wow, this is a great concept. It's fun. It looks good. And Bob's Big Boy back in those days was, the kind of the raging thing. So he went to their headquarters and said, I'd like to buy the franchise for the area. They said, you know what, we just closed on that yesterday. And so he was kind of heartbroken. But then as he's, driving back home, he thought, well, wait a minute. We have a grocery store. We buy fresh produce every day. We do ground beef every day. We do steaks every day. We do everything. I can just do this myself. I can open my own store. And he did have the property up on 7th East and 4th South. Back in those days, there was a standard gas station right on the corner. And then there was kind of a vacant lot and then there was houses there, little condo. They wouldn't be condos in the day, but just little apartments that people lived in. And so he just thought, well, I own this property. 7th East was not a big deal back in those days. And so he built Hires because he knew he could, make his ground beef down at Hale's Market. They did fresh produce every day. So they didn't start out with a big H. They started out with a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a hot dog, probably a grilled cheese, maybe grilled ham and cheese.
It's nice because it sounds like, the Hale's Market played a big role in this. So his first investment was gave him that confidence to say, oh, well, I have all the raw goods.
Right.
I have this space. We can put both together and I get my own, Bob's Big Boy without having to deal with the Bob's Big Boy.
Right. And so as he's building Hires, back in those days, everybody's just out self-promoting. So he's building Hires. Some guys show up at the door one day and said, hey, we promote Hires root beer. And my dad said, well, I happen to believe, or I know that Hires root beer has the best tasting root beer here. He owns a grocery store, so he tries everything that comes in. He says, I happen to believe that Hires has the best tasting root beer. And so would you sell our root beer? And he said, well, absolutely. Can I use your name? And they said, absolutely. And that was the end of that deal.
Interesting. I didn't know that Hires root beer came before Hires Big H.
Well, Charles Hires, who started Hires root beer, was I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe it was the first soft drink on the market before Coke.
Wow.
This was 1885. I don't know. I'm wrong on the date, but I believe that Charles Hires was the first guy that came up with the soft drink.
Interesting. And was that Hires space that he had, was that just the renovated gas station itself, or did he build?
Right. So he built, the original building still stands on the same side as it is today, but the Chevron station was still on the corner. It didn't take us a lot of, when you're starting out, you don't need a lot of parking.
Yeah.
But, we started out with car hops. Car hops were big back in those days. And, it was a lot of work because cute car hops and cute guys would pull in and you could lose a car hop for another 10 or 15 minutes because she's just talking and not taking orders.
Other priorities at the time.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, it was, he was dedicated to what he did. He was a hardworking businessman and spent a lot of hours in that store all day. When it slowed down, he would go down and see his parents who lived at Hale's Market at 5th East and 5th South.
Okay.
And he would take his mom around on errands with him. He'd go down to the stock market and check things out. And
I love how much he just brings people along with him for everything, which I applaud because it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm so busy, I'll be home later. But it's I need to go do this. Let's go get a milkshake or ice cream. You come along. Or I need to spend time with my mom. Hop in the car. Let's go do this. It's multitasking.
Yeah, is just a quick side note is that he would try to take the kids on a trip one-on-one. So we flew to Las Vegas once and did some things there. And we woke up the next morning after I woke up and did my homework because he took me out of school. And then he said, we're flying on to LA. There's nothing to do here.
All right. Sounds good, Dad.
But when my dad was out of town, he would eat 4 times a day. He would eat breakfast and then he would eat between lunch and breakfast at a restaurant. And then we'd eat somewhere in a snack a day. And then we'd have dinner at night. And to this day, when I go out of town, I just want to eat. I can eat anywhere.
Oh,
because it's just training.
Yeah. It's nice that you get to do market research and be like, well, there's a burger over here. We will go have that. Like I had Julie Freed on the podcast recently from the Freed family.
Yes, I heard part of that.
Yeah, with great conversation, such a great woman and fun to get to know her. But it's fun. She's like, oh, like me and my dad did a trip to Toronto to go do some market research. We'll go to Disney where there's a conference every year. I'm like, if I do market research, I'm going to for my day job, like a data convention, not nearly as fun of sitting in a conference room talking about spreadsheets and data sources. But so at this time when he's, getting hires off the ground, working through all of this, is he still doing the market, the car dealership and everything else?
No, he'd probably step back on some of those. I don't know the total time frame of that and when he had given up the bar or whatnot. But he probably got involved more in the restaurant, and his restaurant was doing better. I think he got more into the stock market and stepped back from those other places because he would go to the market and he would buy the produce. He would work at the store, and then he would work at he would do the lunch hour, and then he would go back and work for a couple hours every night. So he would come home for dinner. We'd have dinner as a family, but then he would take us for an ice cream cone or go back to work for the store for a couple hours. So he was very dedicated, and this is the success of hires, is that there was someone there watching over it, making sure of the quality and making sure people were doing their job. So
it sounds like it was the thing that he liked the most out of all these endeavors, and slowly just kind of started to focus on that.
Right. Because he didn't know if this was going to be a winner or not, but it just turned out that it was popular. It was the right time. D's and Arctic Circle and all these other places were all opening restaurants. And, I'd heard stories that people would borrow one from another restaurant. They'd call up Arctic Circle or I should say the place down on 9th South and State Street.
Oh.
It's, oh my gosh, I should have written this down beforehand. It was kind of an Arctic Circle type operation, but they had a booth right in the middle of the lot. And someone sat in that booth and watched every car hop, that they weren't spending too much time at one car. But they would borrow cups from other people. Okay. They'd call and say, hey, I'm short on cups. Now all these cups didn't have everybody's logo on them back in the day. It was just a cup.
Yeah.
I'm short. Can you give me 2 cases of cups? Yeah, I'll pay you back. So it was just kind of a fun community. Everybody knew everybody. It was called Don Carlos. Don Carlos, and that became an Arctic Circle. But Don Carlos had this great car hop service business over on State Street, 9th South.
Interesting.
So anyway, it was a great community, and people were willing to help other people out. It wasn't total competition. It was like, you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing. Oh, you're short? Yeah, sure, I can help you with this or that or whatever. So,
and that's one thing I've realized a ton in talking to people, and it's prevalent across the art community, Silicon Slopes, the entertainment community, is there is this underlying community that people are so willing to help each other, even if they're direct competitors fighting for the same business, which all comes back to, the term Deseret that Salt Lake was based on from the pioneers of, we are industry, we are community, we are all part of the same hive. And so it's so fun as I've talked to more people to see how prevalent that is through all different walks of life in Salt Lake, that we are still so willing to help each other, even if it means I'm giving 2 cases of cups to my competitors and they will make money off of that. It'll end up working out, but a lot of other places you wouldn't find that nearly as much.
Right. So anyway, it all seemed to work out well. Like I said, Don didn't open Hires with a big H, which is our most popular sandwich today and probably has the most fame for. But as he was going along, and I think Bob's Big Boy probably did have a sandwich that had, which we'll call it Thousand Island dressing on it. Mm-hmm. And so his mom had a great Thousand Island dressing that she would serve for salads. And he said, he loved it. And he just put a bun together with a new bun from Hale's Bakery. Mm. No family relation, but they make buns. And it was called a sheep herder bun. So it was kind of dusted with flour on top. So he did that and put cheese on it and did this Thousand Island dressing on the sandwich and lettuce, tomato. And he thought, wow, this is a winner.
Yeah.
We're doing this. So he started, it was just his mother's recipe for the dressing. And it turned out to be a very good sandwich.
I'll say, the amount of Hires Big H's I've had, and also, obviously there's been iterations of it now. Like if I go to Hires, my favorite thing's a Golden H because I love onion rings
Right.
and put them together. And that's my own aha moment, similar to your dad had there. But I mean, it's so interesting to see this man who's this entrepreneur who's done, I mean, his background of industries is broad,
Yes.
but somehow finds himself in food, but also continues to innovate, but then like partner with, I mean, the Hires root beer, and he knows that's going to be something good and can
Right.
recognize that, but then also continues to refine this and make this the best place it can be and the best product it can be, instead of just, oh, I'm going to go get some ground beef from the market. I'm going to grab these buns from Hale's Bakery and try to make something. But instead, he's like, I want to make something of my own, something special.
Right.
Especially when you think about how he once had this decision or wanted to partner with Big Boy Burgers to do that. And so it's fun to see how he made it work, did his own thing. And obviously we know that it was successful and he's done well with it. I guess at this point, what was your involvement in this, or how often or when did the kids start to get involved in the business, if at all?
Well, so we probably at the age of 7 or 8 were stocking shelves down at Hale's Market. So the order would come in on Wednesday from Associated Grocers, which turned into Associated Foods. So the order would come in, we would go down in the summer and stock shelves. And then we would haul garbage out or break down boxes or whatever. And so that went on, until I was 11. And on 11, about 1965, he decided that he wanted to open a pizza place. And there weren't a lot of pizza places around.
Hmm.
You had Pizza Oven up by the mouth of Parley's Canyon. You had maybe a Durat Skeller or a couple other ones. But so what we would do as a family is we would drive to pizza places, which usually was a drive because they weren't anything close.
Mm-hmm.
And he would talk to people. He would ask them for recipes. He would pay them for recipes and stuff that he liked. And people were obviously happy to sell it because they thought, well,
He's the burger guy. What's he going to do with this?
$200 in my pocket.
Yeah.
How's this going to hurt me? So anyway, he came up with a number of recipes, and he said, I'm going to open a pizza place because pizza was just kind of coming on. He opened Litz's Pizzas in 1965, and probably from 1965 up until, for when I graduated in school in 74, I looked at Litz's. Washing dishes, tending ovens, garnishing pizzas, rolling pizzas, off and on. I mean, I had other jobs. That wasn't my only job. But so anyway, all the kids or all the family members kind of got involved in working at Litz's. And because it was new, small, it was great. Food was fabulous. But it was all, to my dad, everything was about quality.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted the best mozzarella cheese. And then he could buy his own vegetables and the lettuce for the salad and the dressings. He got one from his sister-in-law, and came up with a great blue cheese dressing that he probably bought from Little America or somebody else. So anyway, it's just all about quality, and he had a taste for quality.
Mm-hmm.
When he got the dressing together, if it didn't taste good, he would adjust it or just start all over again. But it was all about quality. So he always instilled that in us, that quality was the name of the game, and people will, pay a little bit more for quality.
Yeah, and I like how he kind of goes to all of these. I mean, at the time, it was probably very iconic places around the valley, but being like, oh, like, to your point of like Little America, like, I like your blue cheese. Let me buy your recipe for blue cheese.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, $200. And like, yeah, blue cheese, burgers, get my own ground beef, and just kind of, because again, quality, because that's especially with the burger. Like, there's like one of my favorite shows, Parks and Rec. There's an episode where one of the characters is vegan, and he's trying to be like, well, let me make you this vegan burger that has this amazing garlic aioli and blah, 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 blah. And then the Ron Swanson comes in and he's like, I'll make you a burger that's just ground beef on a bun. And so the guy comes in, makes all these things like, oh, that's really good. And then he's like, quality bun, quality burger, take a bite. And everyone's like, yep, that one. That's the one that we want. And because so many people try to complicate things and try to make things, trendy or so fancy. But at the end of the day, core quality ingredients makes quality food, no matter how you spin it.
Right.
And so it's nice to see that be such let's call it an eternal principle that, is still today for your comments of, I can't have any ground beef besides Hires ground beef. So that legacy continues to go on.
Right.
So all the kids kind of get involved. You start working at Litz's, and I mean, how long did that continue on for? I mean, at what point did you kind of say, hey, Dad, this has been fun, but maybe I'll go do my own thing?
Yeah, I mean, family businesses are tough. There's no question about it because you live with your boss 7 days a week. And even after I got married, he would come over for Sunday dinner. We'd go to our Sunday dinner and he would want to talk business. So it was always tough. There was never a separation, but so when he was in town, it was always business. But when he went on a trip, it was just trip. It was just nothing but trip. He would be up for anything. He would be up for eating anywhere. So we learned as kids that you had to try everything that he wanted to. So oysters, whatever it was, liver and onions was a staple at our house. Wasn't great, but you ate it. But he wanted his kids to try everything. And all you had to do is just try it once.
And were you and your siblings the type of people that welcomed that and enjoyed that? Or was it another, Dad's trying to have us have something?
We were kids.
Okay.
And, but we ate them. I mean, oysters weren't very memorable. It just slipped right down. You're thinking, doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah, it tastes like salty goo. And
yeah,
it's thankfully not in my mouth anymore.
Yeah, so anyway, he would always make us try. So we'd go to new restaurants when we were out of town, and he would try this and we'd kind of sample foods all the way around and let everybody try some and see what they liked and what he liked and whatever. So he was just fun on trips, but he was all business when he was in town.
I mean, it's nice that he can compartmentalize it because the worst thing would be is like Dad can never turn off work,
yes,
even when on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to that point, he's still going to restaurants to do like market research.
But it was fun market research.
Yes.
Right.
And I mean, were these trips and these restaurant visits, did any of this market research come back to the restaurant at all or that you can remember? Or was it mostly just trying new foods and having fun?
Obviously, Hires had been going since 59 up until 65. And so that was kind of established. I think we had the big H by then. And so it was kind of just, steady as she goes. It was a popular store. It was selling quality. So he was having good business. He could just predict how much he was going to make every day because it was that consistent.
Nice.
And from that time until 2000, I don't know, 8 or 9, there were probably three solid quality burger places in town, which was Hires, Crown, and Training Table.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2008 or 9, when the market crashed and everything went down, Training Table kind of went away, and Crown Burger was still in business, but we all struggled at that point. It was always hard. It was tough for anybody to stay in business at that point. And after that, we kind of got over that back 2012, 13, when things came back in line. There was a flood of new burger restaurants. In-N-Out came together, Five Guys, Tony Burgers, just a host of quality hamburger places. Not quality that I liked, but they were still
better than a fast food,
right,
cheap dollar menu. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, those things changed. But Don, my dad, Don's my dad's name, and the grandkids always called him Don and Shirley. So it was never Grandma and Grandpa. That my oldest sister's kids called him Don and Shirley. So everybody called him Don and Shirley. And when I was at the restaurant, I'd be working in the back, kind of setting up orders. My dad would be out front doing seating people and everything. So I never wanted to say, "Hey, Dad." So we always called him Don, just so that you didn't look like.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So anyways, it was Don and Shirley were my dad and mom and dad.
No, but and that's like such a, I don't know. There's something like endearing about Don and Shirley.
Yeah. No, it was to us. It's very endearing.
So you go through these, hard time. Obviously, if your dad opened Hires in 1955, 59, sorry, 65, 59. Yeah. There we go. We got there. So that's 55 years from then to when, this 2010 kind of, market changes, the burger market in Salt Lake changes drastically.
Right.
Was he still going 100% during this time, or would family start to take over a lot of the main operations? No,
he passed away in 2011.
Okay.
So, and my brother and I had kind of taken over by then, but it was kind of like his restaurant was kind of top of the heap up until then. And because there still weren't a lot of quality places around. I think we all did well, all three of those restaurants, and it was good times for everybody. obviously, the story after 2009, how everything crashed and, struggled to get back on. And we've had a number of downturns during the 2011 to 2000 till now.
Yeah.
From COVID to another downturn to whatever. Prices kept going up and up and up. And, it's been a struggle, but we're grateful we're still in business and we enjoy what we're doing. To me, it is all about quality. And if we can't sell quality, we don't want to sell it. In fact, just a side note, at one time I was trying to say, Dad, we need to sell fry sauce so people can dip their fries at us. So employees, when they would get their lunch meal, the employees would all get a cup of fry sauce and dip their fries in it and eat it. And I said, Dad, we got to do this.
Like, Dad, are you saying this? Look what everybody is doing.
Yeah, all the employees are doing it. He goes, no, you know why? And I said, why? He says, because people are going to take our fry sauce and reproduce it. and then it won't be special anymore.
Interesting.
And I just thought, okay, whatever.
Like, sure,
So,
Dad.
yeah. Just like you say to your parents, like, whatever. And, maybe 6 months, a year later, he said, okay, we'll do this. And so, we started doing fry sauce in the 2-ounce cups, and the Olympic pin was patterned after that fry sauce cup.
Yeah.
Arctic Circle, I think, gets the credit for maybe having the first fry sauce out there, but I think we were the first guys to really make it go big, and for the Olympics to acknowledge that. And there's been some dudes, fry sauce, I don't know if you remember that story. I mean, I don't know what his volume was, but he was selling like in 5 Western states.
Wow.
Before they ran into some kind of a issue, and I don't know what the issue was, but it was, I'd be speaking off the top of my head. But anyway, it happened twice to him, and they closed down. They got out of the market.
Interesting.
But, and we had Hires Big 8 fry sauce out there for a while, but after a while I could go to Walmart and count 7 products on the shelf of fry sauce.
Yeah.
They may not have been called fry sauce. Some of them were, but they all weren't. But it was just kind of, all right, we need to step back. So we kind of stepped back. We still sell Hires root beer extract on the open market. But, we've thrown a lot of stuff against the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And what
fry sauce definitely stuck for a little bit.
Yeah, right. It was good for us.
Well, it's funny because, like, to your point and against your dad's point, he's like, well, if we're going to do it, everyone's going to copy us.
Yes.
Which, eventually was true, but there was a long time. Like, how many times did everybody go to any other state on trips with family and be like, oh, can I get a side of mayo and a side of ketchup?
Yes.
And and you'd sit there with your fry and mix it all up. And like, it hasn't been until, maybe the last 5 to 10 years where if you go outside of Utah and you go somewhere, there's some sort of fry sauce variant.
Right.
And so it's fun that you guys will be like, you know what, Dad, actually, I think you're going to like this one. And he comes around, he's like, all right, John, you know what, fine, you win.
I'm not sure he ever said that. You win. but he did realize he sold a lot of fry sauce in the stores.
It's a man who can recognize quality, and he saw it and made that happen.
Yeah.
And then I know that, so obviously the 7th East location.
Oh, there you go. It was a power outage.
That was fun. First time that's ever happened. All right, we're back. Okay. Yeah, I thought we ran out of time. We're just sitting here still enough that the motion sensor goes off. Well, I also know that obviously we talked about, the 7th East location being the first and most important, but then there was some expansions along the way. When did those happen, or how were those conversations?
Well, so we were starting to look at other locations. My brother and I were interested in expanding, and at the same time, kind of the Department of Agriculture says, you cannot transport ground beef from Hale's Market 2 blocks up to Hires. It has to be regulated. That's the law. And so we said, well, we're building this store out in West Valley. Can we section off an area of it and call that we'll call it our commissary, but you guys can come and inspect us every day. And they said, okay, we'll do that. You guys have been in business a long time. So So we built our West Valley location, and we built a commissary out there. And so we produce our ground beef out there, and then we ship it to our stores. But we're inspected by the Utah Department of Agriculture every day.
Interesting.
So they just come, make sure things are done. So anything that we ship that has meat in it, like spaghetti sauce, the hamburgers, other products that we cook and ship, chili has meat in it. It has to be regulated by them. So it's a very strict process, but and it's very annoying sometimes, but it helps us maintain our quality. And then if we have questions, we can go to experts and say, okay, what about this or what about this? And so we've always enjoyed our relationship with the state. It's not, it's just a good symbiotic relationship where we can ask them questions or tell us if we're doing things right or our records up to date. They just kind of keep on top of you, and This is their job. So anyway,
someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Government regulation can be a good thing, bad thing, both things.
Right.
All sorts of stuff. So that's interesting. I didn't think that's how the West Valley location came to be. And I feel like, did every location always come with like a Hires and a Lisa's with it?
No. Well, so we had the Hires location, Lisa's downtown, right? Side by side. So we just thought about this time, we thought, we'll just put the two of them together. This will be great. And you may not know this, but McDonald's started serving slices of pizza at one point.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And it didn't go well, but we thought, wow, we're on to something here.
We're ahead of McDonald's. We're doing it right.
Yeah, we've got the curve here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just something we did. And so when we built our next location up at Fort Union, we didn't include pizza when we did Fort Union because it was a little cumbersome getting them out together.
Yeah.
But when we had other burger competitions come into that area, we thought, well, there are no pizza places here. So let's put Lisa's into Hires now and go forward, and that really helped Fort Union out to, people could come for the burgers, but also people could come for pizza. Yeah. And it really worked out well.
Where did the name, I don't know why this came to my head, but where did the name Lisa's come from? Is it just a fun play on pizzas?
No, I have a sister named Lisa. And so my dad just got playing around with that, Liza. He's trying to talk in Italian, and it just came up with Lisa's.
It works.
It sounded Italian to him, and it was good, and it was named after my sister, Lisa.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that part. Awesome. I know. So, every time I'm like thinking of a guest that I want to have, I'll usually like workshop it to a couple people to see what they think.
Right.
And so my sister, who's one of my best friends, we usually get together every Sunday night to, just talk about the week, talk about what's going on, vent, kind of whatever. And as I've had the podcast, she'll always say, "Oh, who's the guest coming up? Who have you scheduled recently?" I was like, "Oh, it's going to be fun." Like, because again, my family went to Hires a lot. Like that was our go-to spot because we lived up on North Cliff in the avenues. Okay. And so obviously 7th East is the easiest way to go up I Street to get there. And if we're coming from all over the valley of soccer tournaments and sports things, it's the easiest place to stop, especially kind of where everybody on our teams tend to live.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, it'll be fun. I'm going to talk to Jon Hale from Hires. And she kind of looks at me and she's like, well, he was my bishop when me and Andrew lived in the avenue. So yeah, Andrew Swindle and Kirsten Swindle.
That was me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, it's so funny that should be like Small Lake City. Every single time there's always something that comes through. And yeah, once you start chasing that energy, it goes from a joke to a little bit stronger of a joke and heavy-handed behind it a little bit more. But yeah, it's such a small world, and it only gets smaller.
Yeah, we just ran across Andrew the other day. He was in Baskin Robbins with his kids.
Oh, those kids love, again, ice cream.
Yes.
There's some of my Taylor blood in there. Like I went golfing with them. Oh, shoot. I guess it was like the end of last year because Scott, his boy, was playing a lot of golf, and Andrew gets a little hard on him sometimes. And so he's like, Eric, will you go play with him? Because we're golfing, we're having fun, we're not on tour. Like, come on. And then I'll always, because like I want ice cream too. So I'm like, hey, if you make this putt, I'll take you to get ice cream. And he'll miss it and beat himself. I'm like, it's okay. Like, if you hit the green from here, we'll get ice cream. And like, it's funny because as we get closer to, I think we were playing at nibbly that day. And I was like, okay, if you get this, like the bets slowly get easier and easier because I want ice cream, but I can't just say, oh, you didn't do it to go. But so funny. So I guess thinking about the future of hires, I mean, outside of having this place where so many people get to bring people together, push all the tables together to have 20 people sit along a line. Where do you see it going from here?
Well, we obviously my dad did the original store. My brother and my dad, we did West Valley. My brother and I did Fort Union. We did a store down in Provo, which we thought was going to be the gold mine. And it was just down at, as you dropped into Happy Valley, it was off to the left there.
Okay.
But all the business was up on the boulevard. But we just thought, well, we're in Provo. Kids are driving around. This will be great. And it just dawned on us 2 years out of a 5-year stint that, people were so price conscious down in Provo that sometimes you're just not willing to pay for quality.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a good business and we ran it for 5 years and had months we made money and months that we didn't. But overall, after 5 years, it was kind of like someone came in and offered to buy it, the property and all and building, and we said, okay, we're done.
We're done here.
Yeah.
We don't need to come down to Provo anyway. It's too far of a drive. I'd rather be in Salt Lake.
Yeah. So anyway, so I haven't looked at a location in a while, and as the valley's expanding out and all this changes going on in Salt Lake, Salt Lake isn't as vibrant as it used to be. It's still vibrant, but it's just not like the Mecca place that it used to be that everybody would go to. And I believe totally that it's coming back. But it's kind of starting on the west side and the developments there, and it's kind of moving our way.
Yeah.
But we're kind of on the edge of it all now. But obviously we have a reputation of quality food and people are still driving to us. So it's good. So we are looking at kind of growth areas that we could put in a restaurant and see, or we're excited about what we have to offer. We know it's quality. And so we're up again looking at quality. My brother and I have stepped back a little. I'm still involved in management meetings and, buying for them. And I make all the spices for the spaghetti and the chili and the pizza sauce. So I can make sure that, I have to walk in there one day and say, this doesn't taste right.
Yeah. Again, quality.
Yeah, that's right. Then someone would say, well, if it doesn't taste right, you're the one that made the spice. So what's the problem? I was in the store one day and he said, hey, I want you to try this out. And I said, this doesn't taste good. And I thought, well, maybe we've changed garlic, one of our spice makers. And so we got a different brand. And I said, it still doesn't taste good. It's the butter. So we went back and tasted the butter. And I said, wow, this butter just doesn't taste like the butter we used to have. So
interesting.
We had to go through 2 or 3 butters to find out which one we liked again. But, the products change. People want to keep the price low. So they change their product. So it works for them, but when it changes our profile, we have to change our recipe.
Yeah,
and go back to find something that's quality and not something that someone to put out on the market just to get them by.
Yeah, if they're making a little bit more margin, sure, great for them.
Right.
But if it changes the flavor and the end product that you're looking for, it's like, well, time to find a new supplier that tastes like it used to.
Right. People may never know, but I can taste the difference.
Oh yeah.
And that's something my dad passed down to me. But, so my daughter works for us now. We do a lot of collaborations like with Battlefield Kitchen and Food Nanny and Taggies, which is a lot of fun to collaborate with different people in the community. And so our biggest collaboration came from Taggies. We were doing fresh peaches and ice cream last year, and we probably sold more of those than we'd sold of the others. Although the Bountiful Kitchen, we did the caramel coconut cookie. Food Nanny, we did the Alfredo pizza with French salt, which they were both delicious.
It's making me hungry.
But anyway, so August 15th starts our peach parfaits, and they are. And my daughter Allie, who has coordinated all these, the guy that Taggies, where we get our peaches from, she tells me that he goes out and picks peaches, at the end of the shift, and and we pick them up the next day. So we're going from farm to us to the customer.
Yeah.
all within, 12 hours.
As few steps as possible.
Yes.
Like, this is like my favorite time of the year because it's peach season.
Right.
Like I went to, Harmon's and got, 4 or 5 peaches. And I had, even for breakfast today, I had, like Greek yogurt with granola with peaches on it. And it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A always has their peach. Like there's always peach something. And if it's on the menu this time of the year, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Like even when I was on my mission, I was in Eastern Washington where, stone fruits grown, cherry, so much of that.
Right.
And it was nice because we go teach people, and I was Spanish speaking. So I was with, a lot of the Hispanic population,
Right.
and they'd be like, hey, we have a ton of, it would always be whatever was like getting picked that week.
Yes.
So it'd go from, oh, do you want some cherries? Oh, do you want some like red apples? Do you want some gala apples? Do you want some honey crisp? Do you want some peaches, pears, plums, like everything? And it'd be like, yes, I do. Until like our entire kitchen is packed with all of this fruit overloading. Some of it in the back's going bad because there's so much of it, but there's these Royal City peaches, and they're like this big,
Wow.
and they're just so juicy, like just dripping down your face. And yeah, I'll have to swing by for a peach parfait. But does Taggies provide other fruit for a lot of the higher stuff, or is it specifically the peaches?
No, well, specifically the peaches at this point.
Okay.
So we just like to try to collaborate with different groups in the valley, people that have websites, that they can promote us, and we try to promote when we promote them. And it's just kind of we try to do maybe 10 of them a year.
Cool.
And just see how it goes.
Yeah, it's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And like we said, Deseret, work together.
Yeah.
We're all part of the same ecosystem. Might as well benefit from each other and, get quality peaches for a quality shake, and they get the credit and the sales. But at the end of the day, everybody wins and comes out on top.
Yeah. So just one other thing I'd point out is that
Please.
we've always been, we've always wanted to keep quality in there. So, we were always buying Hershey syrup, and that was great. And then when I started paying attention to the ingredients in Hershey syrup, high fruit corn syrup and all this kind of stuff, and I just thought, this doesn't need to be. Why can't it just be sugar and water and cocoa? So anyway, we came up with so anything that we can make at this point with simpler ingredients, we will. So we have our own chocolate sauce, we have our own caramel sauce, which I must say tastes exactly like Snellgrove's caramel sauce. Now I don't know if you can remember Snellgrove's caramel sauce, but it was pretty much divine. And so I've kind of reproduced that. We've taken, we do a gluten-free crust. We make our own dressings, anything. So anything that we can take on and make it at our commissary, we'll do it. So we obviously make our own pizza sauce, our own spaghetti sauce, our own chili. We kind of want to do everything that we can. And anytime we can take high fruit corn syrup out of the equation and make it on our own, we will.
Yeah.
Because we do we buy frozen, we do raspberries and make our own raspberry syrup, strawberry syrup, but just with sugar and raspberries, or sugar and strawberries, raspberries and strawberries. So anything we can do to get away from commercialization and products off the market, we will, because we just want quality.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that's getting lost in translation these days. Especially as a lot of the motivation for people to start, restaurant, food, whatever it might be, there's usually tends to be a financial motivation.
Right.
But instead, if you say, I do want to provide an experience, I do want to try to provide the most quality product possible, and use that as your North Star, that's when a lot of these good things happen. And especially for your example of Hershey's syrup being like, oh, well, why is this list of like used to be 3 or 4 ingredients, now a paragraph on the back of here?
Right.
I can taste the difference. I want to give my customers something better. And to take it into your own hands, even people who start today, they go to their food distributor and it's like, well, let me get a tub of your mayo, let me get a tub of this. And it's really just kind of getting delivered the same thing everybody else does from the same people, trying to increase margin and really financially engineer all of these other ways to hit their quote goals and KPIs. But at the end of the day, so many of these corners get cut until you're not the same thing you started with.
Yes. So that's what we are. Our chicken that we bread ourselves, we can bring the chicken and trim it up, then we bread it, cook it, and then, send it to the stores. So we're to me, it's all about, I want it to taste good. I want it to taste right. And if I can take something out that I don't agree with, like corn syrup or whatever it may be, we'll do it. Of course, we want it to taste good in the end.
Yeah.
We have a veggie burger, and probably we started this. we started the veggie burger so long ago that I had to go to the Salt Lake Library and check out a dozen books to look up recipes to make a veggie burger. But we've been selling veggie burgers probably for 20 years now, and it's all vegetables, and has about 5 vegetables. And we used to put egg whites in it, and that was the binder. But at one point, the egg white delight became so popular at McDonald's that they consumed the whole egg white market.
Interesting.
And so a bag of egg whites, 50 pounds, would go from $200 to, $700. And it's kind of like, okay, I can't do this.
What else are we going to use here?
Yeah. So we came up with, you do ground flaxseed and put it in warm water and, some oats and other things. So we have a veggie patty that's all natural. It's everything in there's ingredients. We don't even have egg whites in it anymore. And it stays together. And I think is one of my favorite sandwiches since I've cut back on meat a little bit when I'm not eating a hamburger. I'll eat a veggie patty.
Well, that's what my mom's favorite thing. Like as soon as you said veggie patty, I got this vision of my mother because she's always order veggie patty. If they don't have that, she'll take the turkey burger. Always been, she's a marathon runner. Always been very healthy. Pediatrician, always been very health conscious her whole life. So if we walk into, a burger place, especially Hires, that's usually where she's going to go is that veggie burger.
Well, tell her she's right on because it is just all natural. I think it tastes great and there's nothing, artificial about it.
Interesting. Okay. So, the more you know.
Yes. So we also obviously make our own fries in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Every store will, can go through 10 bags of 50-pound sack of potatoes. So we cut them and, rinse them, and then we blanch them once, so that they don't turn dark. And then when we recook them, it takes a little less time to recook them. Because if you take a potato and try to cook it straight through, it could take 8 to 10 minutes. And that's just too long. So you kind of, what you call blanch them, and, they're kind of hard cook. And then we refrigerate them and then bring them up and drop them again. And it's, it's just a French fry. It's just a Idaho potato.
Yeah. So
we did the same thing with onion rings. My dad went down to Little America one day and said, "Can you show me how to make your onion rings?" And they showed him, and I'm sure he paid him for it. But he came up and we started making onion rings. And the first day we cut 20 onions, whole onions, and then separated them. The next day was 60 and then 80. And then we were at 1 bag. And, now it's up to 2 or 3 bags a day that you're cutting to separate and have the early employees to, bread them and dip them and have them ready to go for the customers. So the onion rings are fabulous, but something we do ourselves, and there's a difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, there's so many corners that get cut.
Right.
Not just in food and burgers, but in
everything.
General.
Yes.
And so it's nice to have, Jon at the helm, keeping the legacy of his dad, Big Don, to say, hey, listen, no, we're still going to do this right. We're still going to make everything quality. Something tastes different, we're going to replace it. No high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people would say the opposite. I didn't even know, half of that about, the quality of the ingredients, everything that you go through to make sure that it stays that way.
Right.
Because again, if you don't, then you're just kind of ordering off a menu from the same food distributor that a lot of other people
that everybody else has.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And we don't want to be there. We want to have a better product. So we think our product tastes better, and it's the difference that we have.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. The more you know, the more you appreciate everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is why when you want a burger, you go to Hires because you know the quality, the beef.
Right.
And if you know best and you taste best, then why would you go anywhere else?
I know. I just have frozen patties in my freezer because, when I can't always run down to the store, but I can freeze it and pull it out and make the meatloaf or do the hamburgers or whatever. So,
well, and that's one thing I love. I don't know when you guys started doing this, but you would have the to-go packages where we would go up the canyon to the grill and throw on the burgers, the buns are ready to go, everything's there, and you have a big H. Halfway up a canyon with no cell service, and still enjoy it the same way you would if you were.
Yeah, well, people were kept out. Oh, I want a dozen patties, and can you give me the lettuce too, and the sauce too, and this. So we just would start doing barbecue packs for people.
Yeah, big fan of that.
Yeah.
Well, John, before we wrap up, I want to end with the two questions I always ask every guest.
Okay.
First is, if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear more about their story and what they're up to, who would you want to hear from?
I'm just kind of I don't know. I can't think of anybody right off. You should have asked me that question first.
Yeah.
So I could have thought about it.
All good.
But I did listen to the thing about Lagoon the other day, which was fun to hear because everybody's a fan of Lagoon, and it's nice to know that the legacy goes on. So what's your second question? Because I can't.
Yeah, no worries. And then secondly, if people want to find out more about hires, any future collaborations, or more information, what's the best place to find that?
Yeah, I think my daughter, Alexandra Foster, works at our office, which is out of our Fort Union store.
Okay.
They called Alexandra or Allie and asked for her, or Christian Franz, who is the general manager now. He's been with us for 25 years, is remarkable with employees and a great source of buying food and working out contracts for us to get the best price we can. So Christian or Allie, if you just call hires, they can forward you to them or give you their number, whatever it may be. But they're fabulous, and I'm just standing by on the sidelines, making sure things are the right plays are being called. And pretty soon that I won't be around to call the plays anymore. But
thankfully, it's in good hands.
Yes, that's right. That's how we feel about it right now.
Yeah. I mean, even in the conversation with Julie, because she's the third generation of Freeds to now run Lagoon. So now Allie's going to be the third generation. Right. So no pressure, just got to keep the torch marching. But I mean, obviously I've been talking with her throughout this, and you're in good hands.
Yeah.
Excited to see where
Allie's been amazing. And every generation has their own vision, and she's done wonderful things for us.
No, excited to have it still be the place where everybody can go after their sporting event, theater, I mean, whatever it could be to celebrate it, whether it's with your friends, your family, or anything in between. It'll always be that iconic spot. And I mean, it's funny because, I mean, when I was traveling around the country, I mean, in a van, even when I lived in Seattle, I mean, pretty much everybody has their local burger spot.
Right.
And are a lot of them similar? Yes, but they're all so special and so nostalgic to the communities that have so many experiences there. So I'm so grateful for everything that you've done for the community and had this place where, I mean, not just me, but I mean, hundreds or thousands of people have been able to have these memories and be together through it all. So thank you so much for all that you've done.
Well, it's been a joy. It's been a joy to serve the community and do something that we love.
No, absolutely, John. Yeah, thank you for coming on, and excited to see what else is there. And I'm definitely going to swing by in the next couple of days because now I am craving a Hires Big H. So thank you for it all.
Well, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Small Lake City Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, review, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And we'll catch you next week. We'll see you there.